this song quite yet. Oops, not that either. Will you back me up? Thank you. Okay. So, being a minister has been an interesting journey for me, and I have found that I eat a lot of humble pie. A lot. And a couple weeks ago, this young man down here, who is our interpreter for beloved Jimmy, he came up to me after the service that Dr. Laura, Reverend William, and I did together, and he said, I think this is the first service where you didn't talk about your Jewish heritage. And I kind of got mortified over that. I just thought, oh God, I'm that minister where, she's going to talk about being Jewish again. Oh, here we go again. And I can't help it. It is my heritage. And I draw a lot from it, right? There's a lot of humor I bring to the room with it. And there's just a lot of good experiences I like to share with you. But I do not want to bore you, and I don't want you to think, here she goes again. So what is your name again? I'm sorry, our interpreter. What is your name? Ishaq? When he approached me, I said, you know what? I'm really glad I didn't talk about my Jewish heritage that week, but this week I am. Oh my God, I know, because it's October and the Jewish holidays, they've already started. And yeah, thank you. My Jews, welcome. Shana Tova. Shana Tova, and you online. I like to talk about the High Holy Days, not just to educate you about the Jewish religion, which, I do like educating people almost to a fault, but I like to show the parallels and the relatability that the High Holy Days have to offer us. When I was a kid, it was fun, actually. I liked the High Holy Days because I got to miss school 2 days, and I loved that. But the other side of the coin was I had to go to temple, and that I wasn't so big on. And one of the holidays you can't eat, so there was another ding on the whole holiday thing. But as an adult, and especially coming into our philosophy, I really found the treasures of the religion that I grew up in, especially the High Holy Days. So we will begin your education now. So these are the Jewish High Holy Days. They're called the Jewish High Holidays, and they're the biggest. This is the big deal for Jews because this is when we celebrate the New Year. It's our New Year, and it's also where we kind of do our big Day of Atonement, which is forgiveness of the sins. So it's kind of a double-edged sword because you're celebrating, and then you move into this period of absolute inner torment because you got to see what you did bad over the last year. So it's got quite an edge to it, but it also has a celebratory nature. So no wonder Jewish people are a little messed up. Look what we got. We got all of this and that, and this and that, put it all together. So for me, at this juncture in my life, I see the High Holy Days as the annual spiritual detox and cleansing, because this is the time where we get real with ourselves. This is the time where we dive into our souls, and we take a good look in there, and we see what's going on. What have we been thinking? What have we been doing? What have we been aligning with? And so we get to really go in and find our spirituality and give it a kickstart. So this is the greatest thing I think about the High Holy Days. My brothers and sisters in the religion might think differently. They might think it's more about something else. This is what I think it is, that deep dive, so we can start to create a better world, a better life for ourselves. So Franz Rosenzweig says this about the High Holy Days. Only through the holidays does life experience the eternity of the river that returns to its source. And I want to emphasize that, returns to its source. We all are that source energy. It's always inside of ourselves. We are never separated from it, ever, 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 ever. But life happens. Our thinking gets the best of us. Our emotions might get out of control with us, and we forget about that source. And that source is love. That source is light. It's life. That source is spirit. Whatever you call your higher power that's really pure and clean and loving and kind, that's your source. And that's what these holidays do. They get us back into alignment with that. And the benefit of that is we find our eternal nature as well. Because when we know that we are that source energy, we realize that this is just one part of our spiritual journey, and we go on and on and on. So Rosh Hashanah. Let's start there. It's all about the beginning of creation, the creation of the world, right? This is what we're celebrating, when the world came into be. But for us, it's really a time to pay attention to what we are creating in our own lives. Because we teach you here, you're responsible for it all. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your consciousness is creating this. So now we get to say, do I like this or do I not? If you don't, then it's time to create anew. And so this holiday tells us to see what's going on and start creating better if that is what you want. And also it's a call back to spirit. You may not know this, but we blow the shofar, which is a goat's horn, or something like that. Yeah, I think it's a goat, or a goat's, whatever. It's a goat. It comes from a goat, and you blow it, and it makes a really loud sound. Y'all missed. We had Rosh Hashanah here. I got a segue. We had a Rosh Hashanah here that Dr. Laura, myself, Reverend William, and Elizabeth. We really pulled it together. We had some wonderful helpers. We had Bruce Klein helped us. You helped us, William, and Barbara Black helped us, and I think the Hot Dish Boys helped us. But man, we worked our off. Man, we had it all catered with us, and we were moving it, and I had the nerve to stand up here and blow the shofar. And I knew I was committing a Jewish sin when I did that, because I wasn't doing a good job at all. But I had the nerve to do it. But we blow that shofar because it calls us back to spirit. That's the symbol of it all. And I love that about that symbol, because anything that makes me turn within and look at the source of my life, that's a good thing. And that's one of the most beautiful symbolic things about this holiday. Calls to us to go within. So after Rosh Hashanah, 10 days pass, and then we go into Yom Kippur, which is really it's one of the most solemn days of the Jewish year. And it's called the Day of Atonement. And I want to call your attention to the word atonement. Atonement usually means we atone for our sins. We use this word in Science of Mind and New Thought traditions as at-one-ment, that we're coming back into oneness with spirit. And so what I'm starting to set up for you is that this whole thing with sinning is designed, and repenting for our sins is designed to get us back into our relationship with spirit. And so we're asking for forgiveness of our sins, and we're turning within to see how we are out of alignment with spirit in our thinking, our actions, and words and deeds. And you know what? I know it sounds really punishing. I'm even cringing because I'm feeling like, God, am I going to get written in the holy book for the next year of life? Because that's part of it too. You are on pins and needles, because you better say that you lay out all your sins, every single one of them, because if you don't get to that right place, you're not going to be written in the book of life for the next year. And that's a scary thing. And as a child, that freaked me out, because, I was kind of naughty. And so I wasn't really into fessing up or remembering what I did in the last year, but my mother reminded me, of course. But it's that time to really get clear on ourselves. So in my mind, I had to put two worlds together, because that's just how I am. Because the high holy days are always in the fall. And what else is in the fall? Football, right? Football. And so I'm starting to kind of think about my talk, and I'm going, hey, wouldn't that be interesting if I brought football and the high holy days into one talk? That would be interesting. I love a good challenge, what can I say? So challenge I did. And when I was kind of figuring things out, I remembered Friday Night Lights. Do you remember Friday Night Lights? Was that not the best show? I love Friday Night Lights, and who I love even more is Coach Taylor. Love Coach Taylor for a variety of reasons. He was just such a man of integrity, and there was such a parallel with the game of football and life. That was pretty transparent in the show, and it was just so good. And so I found this quote, because this is what he used to say: clear eyes, pure hearts can't lose. And when I read this, I thought, oh, wow, that is so in alignment with the high holy days, right? It really is, because we're taking this time right now to clean up things on the inside. So we've got to clean up our vision, how we're looking at life, how we're looking at ourselves. And we got to open our hearts up to love, to the flowing energy. Because when we do that, we can't lose. And so we can look at life as this game, right? This is how we put it together. Life is a game. It's said all the time. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. We It is helpful for us when we learn the rules of the game, the rules of life. For us here in a spiritual community, we like to see how spiritual law works, because when we know how it works, we can use it to our advantage. We can use it with optimism, constructively rather than destructively, and consciously, effectively. So in order to win this game of life, or football, we have to have a clear vision and a pure heart filled with love for life. That is going to get us through this life, not just putting up with it, but enjoying it, of seeing what we can do, seeing our power, seeing the possibilities that we can engage with, that we can open up to, that we can live into. That's the greatest place to be. So my talk title is Clear Eyes and Pure Hearts. My teaching for you today is to realize that this whole game of life isn't that complicated. We like to make it complicated. We can't help ourselves. We're complicated. But we have a tendency to make things really complicated. We have a tendency to think we need to figure this out, do that, have that, do all these different things, traditions, rituals, but there's only two things we need to do. We need to clear our vision, and we need to clear our heart. The rest will be easier. Clear eyes are open and obstructed, indicating the ability to discern what's important. And if anything is important that I believe, it's our understanding, our awareness of our oneness as spirit. Our oneness as spirit, not as who you think you are, as this person who was born in 1945 and went to school and is now a lawyer and is doing this. No, I'm talking about an awareness of you beyond that. An awareness of you as an infinite spiritual being who really is unstoppable. A being who has all the energy and intelligence and guidance of this universe at your beck and call. That is the vision to hold of yourself, and by the way, of other people as well. Because what we see for ourselves, we must see for others, because everybody has this inside of themselves. And we need to honor people. I know not all of us are living that energy at a high level, but we have to have compassion for whatever level people are at, instead of holding up these obstacles, this hate, this intense disagreement, and come from love and understanding. So, this whole relationship, oneness with God, spirit, the higher self, how do we get clear on that, and what is obstructing our vision? I will tell you a few things. This, shame, guilt, anger, remorse, you name it. That stuff is so toxic to us, and it is so prevalent in our culture, our religions. Okay, I'm going to inject some humor right now into the conversation. So I was on Facebook this morning, and I saw this really funny cartoon. I want to share it with you today. And it really illustrates this issue and where it comes from. So there's this woman who decided she needed to see a priest. And she tells the priest, I'm a lesbian, and I'm committing a sin. He said, oh, yes, you are. The priest said, you are sinning. And you need to go to God, and you need to ask for this to be released from you. You need to let go of this sin. You need to be able to be purified. And so she said, okay, that sounds really good. And so her prayer was this. She said, God, make this problem disappear. And so what happened is the priest disappeared into a puff of smoke, and her problem disappeared. But I apologize. If I better do this right now because that humble pie is coming fast and furious. I apologize if I offended anybody. That was really just meant to be humorous. But yet, truthful. Because we do get a lot dumped on us about shame and guilt for being who we are. And that stuff is the toxicity that blocks us from experiencing our oneness with God. And that's why I like this holiday, this high holiday, because it really begs us to look at it. We're going to look at it in a little different way. Ernest Holmes, God love him, I cleanse the windows of my mind that it may become a mirror reflecting inspiration from the Most High. Because you know what? When we clean those windows of that shame, of that guilt, of that blame, of all that energy we're holding on to, when we clear it up, the Most High comes right in because we create the space for it. Because when we let go of that stuff, joy comes to the surface. Lightness, life, peace, all those great attributes of spirit rise to the surface when we're no longer blocked by those negative feelings about ourselves. They are not God ordained. They are not the nature of who we are. The nature of who we are is love and peace and joy. That is natural to us. The other stuff is dumped on us by society, and we do not need to take it anymore. Full hearts, ever, please don't. So full hearts indicates joy and love, an openness, a spaciousness. Something that is a ritual in the Yom Kippur service that we do is we go through, oh my God, pages and pages and pages of sins. Standing up in high heels, just this sin, that sin. Oh, we do this ritual where we hit our heart while we're doing that. We hit our heart when we say every sin. And to me, what that is, it's not about thinking you're a bad person or I need to harm myself. No, it's about when you hit and there's a vibration and there's energy, we're shaking free that crust, that solid matter that surrounds our heart that's keeping us from love. Our belief in the sins, because I don't believe there's sin, our belief in the sins is what hardens our hearts. So when I'm doing this, I'm shaking free all of that crustiness, and my heart can be wide open to love. This is the takeaway from the Jewish holidays. And it's time to lay down the burdens we are carrying on our hearts. Anybody feel like you're carrying a burden on your heart this morning? Oh, yeah. Right? How are you not? That's my question. How are you not? But yeah, we're carrying a lot of burdens on our hearts. A lot. And it is time for us to let them go because the only person they're harming is ourselves. Too often our minds are so burdened because of the mistakes we have made that we do not take the time to forgive ourselves and others and start over again. This is Ernest again. And I really like this quote because he talks about this starting over. Because any moment is the possibility to start fresh. Right now, start anew by forgiving yourself and these mistakes that you believe that we have made. And Ernest tells us that's how to make things clean. Start over, forgive. And I know forgiveness is a word. It's a word that has a lot of baggage with it. But it doesn't have to because I think we've been approaching it wrong. Our healing begins when we stop focusing on our mistakes and ask ourselves why we are in pain. I want to tell you a little story. I'm going to keep it anonymous. A friend of mine told me a week or two ago that he was doing some spiritual work with a woman who was really burdened. She had a lot of guilt. She had a lot of remorse. She just had so much angst on her heart. And so being a practitioner of science of mind, he went with the standard, well, there's a part of you that is really untouched by anything that is harmful in this world, and it's right there inside of you. This did not land well with the person. She couldn't see that. She couldn't believe that. She was stuck in the mistakes. She was stuck in feeling badly about herself. And so he took a risk, and he said, instead of that, let's look at the pain that's underneath that, because your pain is what drove you to make these mistakes. You were just trying to adapt to life. You didn't know any better. You thought that was the way to move yourself. You thought that was the way to respond to life. You were just coming from pain. Boy, he told me that was a game changer. He told me that her eyes lit up because somebody acknowledged her pain. Instead of the behavior, it's the pain. And we all have pain. Life is filled with pain. We can't help it. But we got to acknowledge it. Without trying to fix it, we got to acknowledge it. Because when we acknowledge it, it doesn't stay stuck on the heart. When we don't acknowledge it, it gets stuck right here. So our healing begins when we stop focusing on all the screw-ups, all the things we wish we hadn't have said, and we go to a place of just saying, what's the pain underneath here? Let's look at that so I can heal. And that brings in forgiveness. Because we're all doing the best that we can. So there's a common denominator with all of us. We just want to feel better. We just want to feel better, period. I believe that's kind of it. We come here on Sunday because we want to feel better. We want to feel more in alignment. We want to feel like we're not alone. We want to feel like we belong. We want to feel like there's hope. We want to feel like there's power inside of us that we can tap into to create a better life. That is what we're all here to do. And that's why I love Hey Jude, better, 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 right? We all want to feel better. And that's what the high holidays are all about. As a kid, I thought it was just about punishing me, really. But as an adult, I realized that the Jewish religion was just trying to tell us how to feel better, how to be better, how to clear our hearts up, how to stop holding on to these burdens and free ourselves. Because those burdens aren't who we are. And it's really, really time to free ourselves, because as we free ourselves, we're going to feel better, and we're going to be better, and we're going to show others that they can do it too. So Coach Taylor has one more quote that I wanted to share with you. He said, every man at some point in his life is going to lose a battle. He's going to fight and he's going to lose. But what makes him a man or a woman is that in the midst of that battle, he does not lose himself. And the way I interpret this is that he doesn't lose his spiritual self. That even in these experiences that can really be difficult for us, losses, failures, disappointments, these things hurt. But we don't want them to harden our hearts. We want to pay attention to the pain, see it, understand it, let it go. And so it doesn't have to sit here. Because we don't want to lose ourselves to the battles. We don't. There's too much life inside of us that wants to come out and play. There's too many things we want to do in this world. We're here on purpose. We're here to enjoy this place. We're not here to be scrunched up, closed off. That is not our purpose here. Our purpose is to be who we are. Our purpose here is to clear things up. Our purpose is to have clear eyes and a pure heart so that we can feel alive again, so that we can help others in need, so that we can bring forward a better world by virtue of our consciousness, what we know is possible, and let people rise with us. It starts here. So this holiday season, whether you're Jewish or not, have those clear eyes, purify your heart, because this is your life, and make it the best you can. Namaste.